On the news, Federal Executive Council facilitates response plan for Nigerians amid economic hardship. Pro-Fubara lawmakers counter Amerule authorize governor to spend government funds. And Kano Assembly passes bill creating 3 second-class emirates. Thank you for joining us on News Now. I'm Simisola Adigun. As part of measures to ameliorate the ongoing hardship in the country, the federal government has dispatched 20 trucks of rice to each state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris disclosed this to correspondents at the end of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Monday. He said the council took note of some of the complaints by Nigerians in terms of transportation, food prices and shortages in many homes around the country. TV360's Tamilore Akinkwole has more in this report.
The distribution of bags of rice to each state government follows the new increase in the nation's inflation rate to 34.19% in June 2024 from 33.95% recorded in May amid worsening hardship. Each state will now receive the supply with each truck containing 1,200 bags of 25 kg rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable in the society. Making the announcement to State House correspondents after the FEC meeting, the Minister of Information says the distribution of food items was in addition to the efforts that the government was making in terms of fertilizer supply.
Each of the state governors has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is a first step, and the federal government will continue to support all the state governors, the local government, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is bridged.
On transportation, the minister said the council has directed the Presidential Committee on Compressed Natural Gas (CNG) to expedite its activities to supply buses and make conversion kits available at affordable costs to Nigerians. The move aims to reduce over-reliance on premium motor spirits (PMS).
The CNG committee has already started rolling out its programs. They are also ramping that up. We know that this is taking a while, but you also know that some of these buses and some of these conversion kits are not just things that you get off the shelf. They take time to import or take time to put together. Of course, that is the direction that the world is going. CNG is not only cheaper, it is also cleaner and less harmful to the environment.
Idris further revealed the federal government had also directed the Ministries of Finance and Budget to address budget shortfalls on new minimum wage implementation.
The federal government is not in opposition to wage increase. The President and the Federal Executive Council and the federal government are not in opposition to the concept of wage increase. The issue has been a wage increase that is that we can defend, meaning a wage increase that will not lead to inflation, a wage increase that not just the federal government but the subnationals and the organized private sector are able to pay, and something that is also sustainable.
The minister also hinted that President Bola Tinubu plans to send a supplementary budget to the National Assembly to accommodate any agreement that may be reached on the new national minimum wage. The minister says the present administration is conscious of approving an affordable amount for both the federal government and subnationals. Tamilore Akinkwole, TV360, Lagos.
Let's turn to Rivers, where a faction of the State House of Assembly led by Victor Kojombo has condemned the resolution by the Martin Amerule-led House barring Governor Siminalayi Fubara from spending public funds a week after they asked the governor to resubmit the 2024 budget. The lawmakers took the decision after the 7-day ultimatum they gave to him to represent his budget expired, declaring the shutdown of the Rivers State Consolidated Revenue Account and prohibiting any expenditure by the Fubara administration. In his opening remark during plenary on Tuesday, Factional Speaker Victor Okojumbo described the move by Amewule and the 24 other lawmakers as unfounded and without validity, arguing that the group had no legal capacity or moral basis to bar the governor from spending public funds following their defection from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC) in December 2023. Okojumbo further explained that Governor Fubara had duly presented the said appropriation bill to the House when Edison Ehie was the Speaker, and that same was passed and signed into law. He urged the public to ignore the Amewule pronouncement and called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to without delay conduct the by-election to fill the 25 vacant seats in the House. Well, let's dive into discussions on this development. Legal expert Justice Ojieno joins me on the news. Thank you very much for sparing time, Justice. Now, does this move by the Amewule-led Assembly in Rivers suspending all expenditures of Governor Siminalayi Fubara until he represents his budget before the House lack any legal basis or legitimacy like the other faction says?
Okay, to a large extent, I think yes, and it's mathematical. I would say yes and a no in order to be a bit more measured. There are two judgments now that are of real consequence. The judgment of the Court of Appeal on the 4th of July of this year. And the judgment of the Court of Appeal actually said that status quo ante bellum should be maintained. And what that means is, despite the fact that a lot of, including legal practitioners, have been trying to turn that argument on its head, what it means is the state of peace. Who was in power the last time the state of peace was in place before controversy came up? And the answer to that is Amewule. And without wanting to really argue a lot, I'll refer people to the decision of the court. In fact, the pronouncement of Justice Abraham Judgewill in Garba and GTB, where he also relied on the decision of the court in Ministry of Military Governor of Lagos State against Ojukwu, the popular, very, very popular case. So what that means is that the budget that was presented before Edison here is null and void because the Court of Appeal decision recognizes Amewule as at the 4th of July of this year. But on the 5th of July of this year, a Rivers State High Court judge, I think Justice Jumbo, which is a day after that decision of the Court of Appeal, said that the Edison Amewule should and his cohorts, 24 other persons, should stop parading themselves as the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. So you see the yes there and the no there. In all of this, I think that as much as possible, these two elephants who are needlessly fighting and the people needlessly suffering, we should look for a way to nip it in the bud. Okay,
so let's go back to those two conflicting judgments on the removal of Martin Amewule and the 24 other lawmakers as members of the Rivers State House of Assembly as ordered by the State High Court in Port Harcourt. Now the pro-Fubara faction insists otherwise. Now, which ruling holds more authority here?
Okay, the challenge is there was an earlier ruling of the courts, and that was the one that was overturned by the Court of Appeal. So as at 4th of July, having said that everybody should go back to status quo, it meant that Amewule was the speaker and could do anything, including impeaching the governor Fubara. And because of the apprehension on ground, I don't want to go into speculations as to how 24 hours later another judgment was procured from the State High Court. So what that means is that as at the 4th of July, there was no judgment because the Court of Appeal has said go back to status quo. So everything is gone back to ground zero. So as at 5th of July now, I think that it is the judgment of the 5th of July, even though it is not, it doesn't appear to be too transparent, because sometimes we say that what is the reasonable man's perception of what the situation was. On 4th of July, the Court of Appeal decided that everybody go back to status quo, and less than 24 hours later, you've gotten another judgment. Unfortunately, the judgment that is subsisting now is the judgment of the 5th of July, because the judgment of the 5th of July does not actually conflict with the judgment of the 4th of July, the judgment of the Court of Appeal, because the Court of Appeal didn't go into the depth of the matter, into the meat of the matter. So as it stands, it is the judgment of the 5th of July that actually says that Martin Omewule and his cohorts cannot go ahead to take any of these actions.
Well, the political crisis in Rivers State keeps heating up every day, and we'll see what comes out of the situation. Legal expert Justice Ojeda, thank you very much for your insights. Moving on, the Kano State House of Assembly has passed the Kano State Emirates Council Establishment Bill 2024 after the bill scaled third reading on Tuesday. The bill, sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the Assembly and member representing Rimin Gado Tofa State Constituency, Mohammed Bello Bututu, provides for the establishment of Kano as first-class emirate and other second-class emirates of Rano, Gaya and Karaye. The signing of the bill comes after the Kano State High Court perpetually restrained Aminu Ado Bayero from parading himself as the Emir of Kano. In her ruling on Monday, Justice Amina Aliyu also barred the deposed Emirs of Bichi, Rano, Gaya and Karaye from parading themselves as Emirs. Now, Emirs of the three second-class emirates would be answerable to the Emir of Kano and shall have powers to advise him on any matter relating to maintenance of public order, boundary dispute, or dispute between two or more people within their areas of jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Justice Hamza Mwazu of the Federal High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has rejected an application by former Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, for permission to travel to the United Kingdom for a follow-up medical checkup. In the ruling on Tuesday, Justice Mwazu held, among others, that Emefiele failed to supply sufficient materials to show that the medical trip was essential and unavoidable. The judge found that Emefiele claimed there was an invitation for him to travel to the UK for medical attention. He failed to tender a copy of the said invitation in court. Neither did he show that his ailment could not be attended to in the country. The Nigerian Senate has adjourned plenary till Wednesday, July 17, following the death of another House of Reps member, Honorable Ekene Adams, who represented the Chikun Kajuru Federal Constituency in Kaduna State in the House of Representatives. The motion for adjournment was moved by Senate Leader Okoyemi Bamidele and seconded by Minority Leader Abba Moro. Before his passing, Adams chaired the House Committee on Sports. His death is the second loss of the House of Representatives in just 1 week.
This is to inform the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of the demise of Honorable Ekene Abubakar Adams, member representing Chikun Kajuru Federal Constituency of Kaduna State in the House of Representatives. The sudden demise of Honorable Adams occurred at the early hours of today, 16th day of July 2024, after a prolonged illness. The Senate is invited to observe a minute silence in his honor. Please accept, Your Excellency, Senate President, distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest consideration. This is signed by Chinedu Akubweze, Clerk of the Senate. In line with our tradition, may I invite all honor members distinguished colleagues to rise to observe a minute silence in honor of this member who has passed on.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says the country is set to become a net exporter of petroleum products by the end of the year. NNPCL Group CEO Mele Kyari disclosed this during an emergency interactive session with managers of the nation's economy organized by the Senate Committee on Finance at the National Assembly in Abuja on Monday. TV360's Folashade Olusegun files this next report from Abuja.
The section led by Senate Committee Chairman Senator Muhammad Sani Musa was convened to address pressing economic issues. Addressing the committee, the group CEO of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, highlighted the recent increase in crude oil production, attributing it to executive orders issued by President Bola Tinubu and the concerted efforts of NNPCL and other industry stakeholders to combat low crude oil production.
Will be a next exporter of petroleum products by the end of this year. And we're very optimistic that by December, this country will be net exporter. That means combination of production coming from us and also from the Dangote refinery and other smaller producing companies that we know are in line to do this. So I can confirm to you, Mr. Chairman, that by the end of the year, this country will be a net exporter of petroleum products. Now, coming specific to NNPC refinery, as you recall, and we have spoken to a number of your committees, that it is impossible to have the Kaduna refinery come to operation before December.
In his own address, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Bagudu Abubakar, disclosed the significant progress in budgetary funding despite financial constraints, while the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources outlined plans to reach a production target of 2 million barrels per day.
Just to ensure that revenues are clearly identified, accounted for. A lot of digitization has taken place. I'm hesitant to say we have sorted the ways and means, but we have done, there's a lot of progress. And so that from a fiscal point of view has been quite supportive. We have been able to fund the personnel and the current side of the budget.
Right now we have a clear plan to see how we can get 2 million barrels and more. And I believe that we need the support of all members of the National Assembly. We need the support of all Nigerians to be able to achieve that one.
On his part, the chairman of the Senate Committee appealed to Nigerians to persevere as the government is working around the clock to stabilize the economy.
We will analyze the latest economic data, discuss what should be done in the short term to improve economic conditions, and address how to manage the environmental impacts of these economic activities. 2, we will strategize to mitigate these economic challenges. We will explore strategies to support businesses and households through increased government spending and productivity, reducing high interest rates and other measures to curtail inflation and the high cost of living. Policy recommendations and action plans that government have rolled out, we also discuss on how we can possibly, from our own side here, support those policies through legislation or through amendments of certain legislations to make them work.
In his submission, the CBN governor, represented by Deputy Governor Economic Policy, Muhammad Sani Abdullahi, expressed confidence in the nation's economic recovery, citing successful tough decisions made in recent years. Folashade Olusegun, reporting for TV360, Abuja.
We'll take a short break now, but coming up, FIRS makes record-breaking revenue collection of 12.36 trillion naira, surpassing its 2023 target by 7%. We'll have details when News Now returns. Welcome back. Let's take you through our top stories. As part of measures to ameliorate the ongoing hardship in the country, the federal government has dispatched 20 trucks of rice to each stage of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris disclosed this to correspondents at the end of the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Monday. He says the council took note of some of the complaints by Nigerians in terms of transportation, food prices and food shortages in many homes around the country. We also told you that the Kano State House of Assembly has passed the Kano State Emirates Council Establishment Bill 2024 after its scaled third reading on Tuesday. The bill, sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the Assembly and member representing Rimingado Tofa State Constituency, Mohammed Bello Bututu, provides for the establishment of Kano as first-class emirate and other second-class emirates of Rano, Gaya and Karaye. In case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're TV360 Online. Well, let's join Joy Uchejin for more stories in the world of business. What's the latest, Joy?
Thank you, Simi, and welcome to Business News. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, says it has made a record-breaking revenue collection of 12.36 trillion naira, surpassing its 2023 target by 7%. The special advisor to the FIRS chairman, Dare Adekombi, says the achievement marks a significant milestone in the agency's quest to optimize tax administration in Nigeria. Adekombi explained that the organization has undergone a strategic transformation since its chairman, Zach Adedeji, assumed office in September 2023, with reforms that have focused on enhancing efficiency, productivity, and customer satisfaction.
All the policies that have come so far are to make the companies survive. When companies flourish, that is when FIRS will also flourish. So the chairman recognizes that fact, and he has not failed to use every opportunity to say that, to pass that message across. So please, you as the schoolmasters of the common people, help us spread that message. That is the vision of the man, that we want the companies to grow. So when the companies grows, we will also grow because we will collect more. And I don't know if you have noticed something. Since the advent of President Bola Tinubu, the FAC allocation to the 3 tiers of government has gone up astronomically. They now take 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And the state governors are smiling to the back. The local government are smiling.
2024, government said, okay, we gave you 11.5. You made 12.5, and government said this year, please give us 19 trillion. For the first quarter 2023, we had collected 2.52 trillion. But in the first quarter 2024, we had collected 3.94 trillion, which is is more than what we collected, and is 1.42 trillion, even more than last year, which is 56% higher. So, of course, like they say, figures don't lie. So that is what some of our achievements.
Still on business, in a bid to boost trade facilitation, the Nigeria Customs Service has partnered the World Customs Organization and the Nigerian Energy Support Group to enlighten officers and stakeholders on advanced ruling systems in the sector. Speaking during the Enlightenment campaign in Lagos, the Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, said the advanced ruling system is a global trade facilitation tool that determines how business or trade is being carried out in Nigeria. Adeniyi explained that with the platform, importers of goods or their representatives would apply to the service in regards to classification, valuation, origin, or status of the consignment. We'll take a short break and return with stock market reports. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market has maintained its winning streak on the second weekday of trading, increasing slightly by 0.11%. Now, the United Capital led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 33 naira per share, followed by Q6, which took over the second place after dropping from the first place from Monday. Now, by the end of Monday's trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, 368 million shares were worth 7.4 billion naira, changed hands in 8,151 deals. Now, taking a look at our global equities, a sell-off in the shares of some European car makers and renewable energy firms entered the second day on Tuesday on growing concerns over potential U.S. policy risk after an assassination attempt boosted Donald Trump's chances in the presidential race. Meanwhile, the U.S. Dow Jones and Japan's Nikkei ended on the bullish note. Now, switching gears to the Forex scene, the Naira rate keeps on dropping to trade at 1,585 naira to $1 on the black market. The British pounds traded at 2,060 naira and the euros are at 1,700 naira on the black market. That's the world business and stock market reports. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Joy. President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, has won 99.15% of votes from Monday's presidential election to secure a fourth term in office. Kagame, the country's de facto leader for 3 decades, faced only 2 challenges after the courts banned his most prominent critics. Only about 79% of ballots have been counted, according to the country's electoral commission. Authorities say 9.5 million Rwandans registered to vote. The full provisional results are due by July 20 and final results by July 27. Republican candidate Donald Trump has named right-wing Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate in the U.S. presidential election. Trump announced his pick on the first day of the Republican Party convention in Milwaukee, shortly after the attempted assassination of the former president. Vance became one of Trump's steadfast allies a few years later, aligning himself with the former president's ideology on trade, immigration, and foreign policy, particularly the U.S. continued support for Ukraine. The 39-year-old also embraces the ex-president's isolationist, anti-immigration, America First movement. And on sports, Nigeria Football Authority has lined up 2 international friendlies for the country's women football team Falconets ahead of the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. Both friendlies against Australia and Mexico will be played in Colombia, venue of the World Championship. The Falconets began campaign for the competition in Abuja 2 weeks ago, with 32 players currently vying for a place in the final World Cup squad. The 2024 finals in Colombia will be the first to welcome 24 teams, with Africa supplying 4 teams. Still on sports, President of the Colombian Football Federation, Ramon Jesúron, has been released on bail following his arrest at the Copa America final, according to videos published in Colombian media. A Miami-Dade County police file indicated Jesúron had been arrested on charges of assault on officer/employee on Sunday night at Hard Rock Stadium. South American football governing body CONMEBOL suggested security procedures such as setting up an outer perimeter to screen ticketless fans had not been followed by the organizers. That's all on news now. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.